My memory of Club Suntory is very much a community. It was all about trying to bring up the young bartenders and having those older bartenders there to form more of that kind of group and provide support. I really like Barfly magazine. I remember when I was working at the Loft, always waiting for it to come out. I'd always try and grab a copy. There was a couple we used to get. I think for me, it was just like, it seemed to be just really good insight into both the brands, but I think also just the categories and spirit general knowledge as well. I really think Suntory coming back and having more of that community-driven initiatives would be really good and beneficial for the industry. Remember when I first entered Bartender of the Year? It was sponsored by Suntory. It was held at the Loft. It was the first time I really had to study and learn for something. I think for me, it was probably the first time I really looked at this industry as being something that was professional, that I wanted to progress in. Spent a lot of time reading books, reading up about the products, and really, I suppose, wanted to further my career and be the best that I could. I really kind of saw the bartending maybe becoming a professional industry based on the fact that, brands like Suntory were very polished and professional brands at the same time. The Suntory brand's really grown, developed and changed over the years. I mean, I came into the industry and then into Australia back in the days when, really Suntory was Midori shakers, That's obviously not the brand these days, and it grew up very, very quickly. Having a session on Yamazaki, where they went through the meticulous creation of Yamazaki products and the multiple distillation methods and the multiple maturation methods. And that really showed, this really scientific way of looking at production. It wasn't just about trying to do something for those people that had a lot of experience in the industry. It was really about harbouring some of the young talent coming through as well and making it this kind of inclusive space. I think for me as a young bartender, the people like Nigel in the industry, there were people in this senior position that people just looked up to. Other people in the industry in that Suntory space, Matt Barnett was amazing at what he did, and Michael Norrie as well, people that I suppose really inspired learning and were people that, other people in the industry could look up to. I think some of my fondest memories, I remember sitting with Matt Barnett one time in Hugo's Bar Pizza. We just ordered a round of oysters, and he really wanted to promote the Bowmore Darkest. So we got the Bowmore Darkest 15-year-old, poured it into the oyster shells, and we were doing little nips of whiskey through those. But yeah, I've got a lot of fun memories. Stuff like the Lo-Fi Christmas party was a big night as well. It was a lot of fun. I think Club Suntory really gave this platform for young bartenders to be able to grow within the industry. And I suppose as well, giving people that opportunity to learn and develop and become, more intrinsically part of that overall bartending hospitality community. I suppose when I think Club Suntory as well, my first kind of bartending relationship between Suntory and my venue, was at the Loft. So we hosted the Bartender of the Year, which I guess as well, from our point of view, was a big deal. To have Bartender of the Year there and have a brand like Club Suntory in there was huge. I think when I think about merch with Club Suntory, the one that always really jumps out in my head is those little metal card bar blades. I think pretty much every bartender in Sydney, if not probably in Australia, had one of those and thought it was the coolest little thing to pull out of their wallet. One of those things, every bar I worked in, I think, had a range of Club Suntory merch there. I think the relaunch of the Suntory Cup's really going to help some of those bartenders to feel like they've got a place to grow. I think that sometimes it can be quite daunting as a young bartender, putting your name forward and putting in entries to some of these big competitions, knowing that maybe the calibre of bartender is so much more experienced, not better, but more experienced. I think going into something that's more geared towards junior bartenders gives you that ability to put something in without that stress and strain of it being something that, might be a bit out of your depth. I think for any young bartenders who are, looking to get into the industry and engage with a company like Suntory, I think all I would say as a recommendation is do it. Get in there, learn, read, and really try and apply yourself. Turn up to those trainings and take that wealth of knowledge that they provide and run with it. I think competitions are great. I think they give you a real good incentive to want to learn more and drive and improve yourself. I think they really kind of spur and harbour creativity. And it's a really good way of, I suppose, setting a benchmark for yourself and knowing where you kind of, rate within the industry as well. Be part of the legacy. Join Club Suntory.